all for women's rights and girl power, but we'd be lying if we thought it was not changing the landscape of dating. I can't tell you how many guys I've gone on dates with that are worried about opening a door for me because I might get offended. Literally, a guy had a girl get offended because he did that for her.
Yeah, that checks out. That sounds about right.
Yeah, that's not surprising at all. Thanks to colossal shifts in society and with women being weaponized to hate every single man who isn't Chad, your average everyday man has been more or less forced to walk through a perpetual minefield where any misstep will be taken as either misogynistic, patriarchal, or some kind of a hate crime. But here is the best part. Not only do we have to be on guard at all times to make sure we're not harassing women by simply looking in their general directions for less than 2 seconds, that minefield is double the size when you take into account that women will blast us for not opening the door, smiling, or even looking in their general direction. So instead of walking through that minefield and risk complete and utter ruination in the name of societal progress, we just decided it was better to let sleeping dogs lie and just not bother anymore. And it seems to be working out for us so far. Not so much for you though, but what are you gonna do?
Guys don't want to ask for our number. They don't want to pick us up for a date. They question whether or not they should pick up the tab because they're worried that women are going to get offended because some women out there get offended. So if you're the type of girl who wants to pick up her own tab, does not want the guy to open the door for you, then that's your prerogative. But don't mess it up for the rest of us who like a guy to be a gentleman and actually want to treat us well and open the door for us and do all those chivalrous things that are dead.
Wow, lady, you really need to cut back on the boxed wine. There is no such thing as a strong and independent woman who is willing to pay for her own dinner tab. That's about as mythical as the Loch Ness Monster and the idea that taxes actually benefit the general public. Men aren't worried that they're going to offend a chick by not offering to pay the tab because a woman will straight up emasculate a man if he doesn't agree to pay the bill in full. So instead of risking being destroyed on the internet, most men won't even bother with dating anymore because there's too high of a risk for precious little reward. Chivalry is dead, woman, and if it comes back, it's gonna be zombie chivalry. And trust me, sister, you don't want that.
Well, sometimes that is better.
Maybe there should just be a separate app for the women who want to be super independent and do their own thing, and then a separate app for the rest of us who want men to be genuine, who want to be chivalrous, who want to open the door. Put us somewhere else and separate us from the ladies who don't like any of that stuff. So for the guys out there that might be watching this video, just know that not all women want to be equal in absolutely every area of their lives, and that's okay. Some of us want the gentleman. We want to just take a step back and know that we don't have to do everything by ourselves, unlike what this generation is trying to make us all think and believe that we should be doing. I like to be treated like the lady that I am.
Nobody cares, Sean. Nobody cares.
And how are you planning on treating this gentleman? What are you willing to do? What do you bring to the table? 50 Intergalactic Space Bucks says that you haven't even considered that question because you're too focused on how you want to be treated like a lady. All you talk about is what you want, how you want to be treated, and how you want a man, but at no point are you even willing to bring up why you would be a good match for a guy. This is one of the biggest reasons why men have checked out. You only see us as providers while you feel like you don't need to bring anything except a face that you assume is pretty and a wretched stench cavern of never-ending suffering. Men are tired of the rampant selfishness, so we're just gonna go take care of ourselves and do the things that we want to do. And if you can't handle that, then that's your problem. Don't blame us. Blame the modern feminist.
Let's talk about what dates you should put first. So if a guy is asking you to go on a coffee date or something new that you haven't heard of, because every guy loves to do, let's go to dinner or let's go to the bar, the same kind of date. Always put the guy that does something different first. Like one time I was deciding on what guy I should pick for my Friday night date, and one guy was like, let's go to dinner, and this other guy was like, let's go to a comedy show and get drinks after. Of course I'm gonna go to the comedy show. It was so fun, even though I didn't like him, I didn't regret going.
Whoa.
If that's the case, then you're not dating, lady. The purpose of a date is to go out with somebody, get to know them, and see if there's any future in a potential romantic bond. However, if one party is genuinely uninterested in the other person and is only using that person for free drinks and a free comedy show, that doesn't make it a date. That makes you a leech. And here's the thing about leeches. They're annoying, but they can be burned off in a jiffy. You are relying way too much on your looks and your ability to lead men on so you don't have to pay for stuff. But here's the thing, eventually you're gonna get old and you have no personality to make up for that. No man is gonna be interested in you anymore because all you know how to do is mooch off of men and provide nothing in return. And you're not gonna realize that until after you've adopted your 8th cat and became a woman
whose life must be an unendurable hellscape of excruciating sadness.
And that's why dating wasn't boring for me when I was dating. Dating hasn't been boring for me because I'm putting experiences over men. I'm listening to their actions versus their words. And I'm not going home disappointed because even though I didn't like him, I had a good time and I had a new experience and I was happy I went. Put experiences over men. Find yourself and you'll find your man. That's how I feel like people really find it, when they're not looking.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
If you find yourself, you'll find your man? What kind of gobbledygook is that? What does that have to do with anything you just talked about? You're bragging about how you use men you don't like to get free drinks and free tickets to comedy shows while ignoring men who could potentially be a good match for you just because you want to experience things. The only difference is that you don't want to spend your money doing these things. You can go to a comedy show at any time, but you only choose to go when someone else is picking up the tab. You manipulate men, lead them on just so you can get what you want. And to be honest, that selfishness has bought you a one-way ticket to the wall, because not only have you failed at dating, you failed to find yourself, whatever that means, and you've also failed at life.
No one makes friends with a failure. Okay? You understand?
I came home and I just screamed my lungs out, because the more processes I put in place, the more things I explain to people, the more training I do, the less it works. The more shit I do, the less it works. At work, in corporate, in my personal life too. And I don't understand, what am I supposed to do differently now? What is it? What am I missing? I'm eating healthy, I'm drinking water, I'm taking vitamins for God's sake, I'm staying sober, which a glass of wine right now probably would have been a good idea. For what?
Congratulations!
Lady, I can tell by that haircut alone that you are the most hated woman in your office. With the way you carry yourself, you're a condescending, insufferable, bossy mid-level manager at a soulless corporate office. Deep down, you know there's no real hope for advancement, so you deal with it by taking out your frustrations on everyone around you. Your training most likely consists of needless micromanagement, pointless nitpicking, and backhanded compliments. This has led everybody to purposefully avoid you outside and inside the office. Nobody wants to chat with you around the water cooler, you're not getting invited to lunch, and you're missing out on all the parties outside the office, mainly because your underlings have bonded thanks to the mutual hate they have for you and the work environment that you've created. But you are eating right, staying hydrated, and taking vitamins, so good for you on that front. Let's give her a big ol' round of applause for doing the basic things needed to stay healthy, folks.
Whoa!
To keep being miserable, coming home at 6:30 and waking up at 5 a.m. every day for not seeing my cat. She's most of the time mad at me because I'm not home, not having any friends, not having a boyfriend. What is all of this for? For them to tell me, oh, work with me? I am working with you. I will be working with you. Because what? Because I have A, no choice, and B, I love what I do. But I would really appreciate if people cooperated.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Maybe I'm wrong on this one, but it's hard to believe that you love what you do for a living. You work a meaningless grind in a sterile corporate office where everybody hates you, including your cat. You have no friends, no boyfriend, and no life outside of your job. You're obviously miserable, so how in the hell can you love what you're doing, lady? And when you sum it all up in this flailing nonsense rant that you're making, you sum it all up by saying you never had a choice in the matter? Listen here, Red, you always had a choice. Nobody put a particle blaster to your head and told you that you had to get a thankless job in a corporate office. You most likely had a chance to lead a traditional life, but you threw it away because you fervently believed, against your better instincts, that spending your entire life being a hag in a corporate office was somehow the smart thing to do. Smells to me like someone is regretting their life choices, but is refusing to take any accountability.
And I'm this close from becoming this atomic bomb that just burns everything around me for like miles and miles and miles. I need one thing to go right for me. One. I need for all of this effort to be reflected somewhere, and it's not, and it's driving me nuts. And I know life comes from you and not at you. But I'm very much about to come at life. Because what the actual... Can something go my way? Can I not have these questions where you're not posting happy content on TikTok? Because I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm just really tired and burnt out. And this is how burnt out and corporate being single, living alone, and doing everything on your own looks like. Being an independent woman does not always pay off the way that you want it to.
You called down the thunder, well now you got it.
So you want recognition for the work you do? Well, gee whiz, welcome to the life of a man, sweetheart. But it's a rare occasion for a man to receive any kind of recognition for anything that we do in life. Not only that, we are straight up told from the beginning not to expect any kind of recognition. And yeah, it's nice to hear every once in a while, but for the most part, we just do our jobs without being noticed, because that's what it means to be strong and independent. What exactly did you think was gonna happen? That you were gonna enter the workforce and be worshipped because you can do your job? Sorry, Red, this is the harsh reality. A reality that you demanded to join. The only difference is that men are bred to handle this and you simply aren't. If a man wants something to go his way, he has to go out into the world and make it happen through work and sheer determination. And because this was the life that you demanded, you're being held to the same standard, because that's what it means to be strong and independent in the working world.
Women have to have higher standards than men. That's something society has right, but it's not because boys will be boys and it's more acceptable for them to have more partners in their life. It's also not so that the blame can be on you if you accidentally choose a bad man because you should have known he was bad. The only reason I believe women should have higher standards than men is because of how convenient it is to be a single woman.
What?
There is a fine line between having personal preferences and high standards, mainly because the standards that modern women have for dating partners are incredibly superficial and somewhat meaningless. Money, possession, muscles, all of that can be achieved over time for any man given his drive and dedication. However, the personal preferences of men, generally speaking, focus on youth, femininity, and overall friendliness, things that you cannot gain back once it's lost. So instead of trying to find a nice guy who ticks a couple of your preference boxes, you've grown into an entitled brat who demands that a man meet some impossible criteria in order for you to consider a date with him. All of those conveniences you claim won't last as long as you think, lady, because as you get older, your looks will fade alongside your desirability. Then your dating life will become one massive inconvenience if you have one at all. Don't believe me? Just wait a while. You'll find out eventually.
If you're not having fun single, that is absolutely where the problem starts. Nothing more priceless than the experience of being single in your 20s. Hot, young, and carefree. And if I'm giving that experience up, I promise it will not be for an average Joe. So God forbid you're ever asked a degrading question. What do you bring to the table? You answer, I am the table. Now what do you bring to me?
Nothing! Absolutely nothing! Stupid! You're so stupid!
You have completely missed the point, you dim-witted nincompoop. You're not supposed to be young and carefree in your 20s. That's when you're the most desirable on the dating market. You're supposed to be finding an ideal match for a romantic bond when you're at your highest value. That way you find a suitable person to help you bring on the next generation to keep your bloodline going as per the laws of nature, which has guided humanity for eons. By going out and having your fun and focusing more on fleeting moments of pleasure, you're trading that for an entire lifetime of satisfaction and contentment. When a man asks you what you bring to the table, he's asking what you can do to make his life easier and more peaceful, because that is exactly what he is bringing. He is bringing you a stable platform to start a family alongside a home, resources, and a future. It's not too much of an ask that you bring him the same satisfaction and contentment as well. You know what? I hate to break it to you, but you've completely ruined your life simply because you tricked yourself into thinking that you were better than most men, simply because you got the opportunity to stink up Chad's Beamer with the smell of your own filth. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. As always, if you find that my particular brand of humor is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Let's give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for checking out the new video, and until next time, peace out, homies.